Our next session is on the NHD Plus v2 data model. We have three objectives: gain an understanding of the NHD Plus v2 data model, learn how table keys link NHD Plus components together, and be able to perform appropriate joins and relates between NHD Plus components. This presentation is organized into three main sections. First, the NHD Plus version 2 data model schema is described. Attribute table keys that link the data together are discussed. And the final section describes how to use relates and joins. These are the symbols that you will see throughout this presentation. The NHD Plus vector shapefiles are denoted by the point, line, and polygon symbols. NHD Plus Esri grids are denoted by the raster symbol. And finally, the NHD Plus attribute tables are denoted by the DBF symbol. Throughout this presentation, each NHD Plus object, i.e. a shapefile, a raster, or a table, is shown inside a teal box. Each object contains members, such as features, grid cells, or attribute records. The name of the object is inside the box, and the name of the primary key attribute is printed alongside of the box. The yellow lines connecting the boxes denote a relationship between the objects. The X and Y indicate cardinality, which is described on the next slide. Cardinality is the number of one object that relate to the number of another object. Cardinality can be any of the combinations shown in this table. For example, in the upper left, we have 1 to 1. This means that one member of object A relates to one member of object B. In the lower right, we have many to many. This means that many members of object A relate to many members of object B. NHD Plus v2 contains 10 different types of components. Each component is made up of objects, each of which is either a shapefile or a raster or a DBase table. The schema is displayed in the next 10 pictures, one picture for each of these 10 components. In this presentation, we're not going to discuss the individual NHD Plus v2 objects within the components. There are other presentations for that purpose. The purpose of going through the schema is to help you understand how to read and use the schema. The NHD feature class, called NHD Flowline, is the common link between all of the NHD Plus components. The primary relationship key is the NHD Flowline attribute called ComID. NHD Plus is built from NHD, WBD, and NED. Snapshots of the source data in these three datasets are included in the NHD Plus components. This diagram shows the snapshot component. The NHD snapshot is composed of 3 feature classes and 2 tables. The feature classes are the standard NHD feature classes, NHD Flowline, NHD Waterbody, and NHD Area. The 2 tables are NHD F-code, which contains a list of the valid feature types along with their allowable attributes, and NHD reach cross-reference, which contains the tracking information about reach code changes. The WBD snapshot has a single feature class which contains the 12-digit HUC boundaries. The NED snapshot contains the raw elevation data input to the NHD Plus build process. This diagram shows the non-spatial attribute tables that are in the Valuated Attributes component. Note that all the tables relate to each other using the COM ID of the NHD flowline features. NHD flowline is shown outside the teal box because it belongs to another NHD Plus component, but it is shown in this picture to illustrate its relationship to the objects in this component. This is a diagram of the Burn Features component. The Burn features are built from NHD snapshot features or from the NHD Plus build process. This is a diagram of the NHD Plus value-added layers, which consist of many raster datasets and the catchment vectors. This diagram shows the EROM and Vogel streamflow extension component. EROM provides mean annual and mean monthly streamflow estimates. The Vogel model provides just mean annual estimates. This is a diagram of part 1 of 3 of the VPU extensions component. This extension contains the runoff and latitude attributes for NHD Plus catchments. This is a diagram of part 2 of 3 of the VPU extensions component. This extension contains the mean annual and mean monthly precipitation attributes for the NHD Plus catchments. This is a diagram of part 3 of 3 of the VPU extensions component. This extension contains the mean annual and mean monthly temperature attributes for the NHD Plus catchments. Some NHD Plus datasets are distributed in seamless national files. This is a diagram of the national data component. The National CAT raster is a national raster version of the NHD Plus CONUS catchments. The table names that begin with gauge hold the stream gauge information used by the EROM streamflow estimation model. EROM ops contains the options that are used in each NHD Plus VPU by the EROM model. Ancillary national datasets are distributed in the global data component. Boundary unit contains the boundary polygon for each NHD Plus VPU. NHD Plus Connect contains a record for each inter-VPU connection in NHD Plus. Super catchments are the overlapping extended catchments that represent the drainage to each of the Great Lakes. Attribute table keys are either primary or foreign. A primary key is an attribute that defines a unique identifier for an object. For example, COM ID is the primary key for NHD flowline features, and grid code is the primary key for catchment features. Foreign keys are an attribute that is a primary key for a related object. Foreign keys support ArcGIS relates and joins. For example, feature ID in the catchment feature table is a foreign key that enables the catchment feature to be related to its associated NHD flowline feature or sync feature. All primary and foreign keys are designated as identifiers, and with few exceptions, have field names ending in ID. Primary and foreign keys are important attributes on which to build ArcGIS attribute indexes. Non-feature attribute tables, in other words, DBase tables in NHD Plus, generally do not have primary keys, but do have foreign keys that support relates and joins to other non-feature and feature attribute tables. These are some important primary keys that define the unique identifier for each listed NHD Plus object. Here are some important foreign and primary keys used to relate objects listed on the left to other objects listed on the right. The yellow lines in the schema diagrams define all the primary and foreign key relationships in NHD+. Note that all the tables link to each other using the NHD flowline COM IDs. The X to Y of a relationship, such as one-to-many, is the cardinality of the relationship. Cardinalities in NHD plus V2 is shown in the schema diagrams. ArcGIS relates only to attribute tables that share a primary foreign key relationship, i.e., any two objects connected by a yellow line in the schema diagram. ArcGIS joins can only be made when two objects share a one-to-one, one-to-zero or one, many-to-one relationship. Joins may not be done when the objects share a one-to-many or a many-to-many relationship. Here are some additional resources for NHD Plus users.